In the movie Sinners, music is the most important aspect of the entire film. From the twins trying to monetize it through their juke joint, to the vampire Remick being drawn to and determined to claim the sound of the blues for himself. Music drives everything. Sinners isn't about monsters. It's about what happens when you try to profit off something sacred. So in this video, we're going to be breaking down the music of Sinners, the history of the blues, and how the vampire Remick is a metaphor for cultural vampirism. So with that being said, let's just jump into the video.
There are legends of people born with the gift of making music so true it can pierce the veil.
Sinners opens with a myth, a legend that tells us some musicians can blend the past, present, and future. That through music, the walls between the world of the living and the ancestral plane can merge. And this power, it's inherited, passed down through blood, lineage, and culture. But this isn't just a supernatural idea invented for the film. It echoes the real-world birth of the blues. The blues was born in the aftermath of slavery. It came from the spirituals, the field songs, the African rhythms, the pain that black folk working under inhumane conditions had to endure. It was survival, a form of therapy, a way of holding onto identity when the world tried to strip everything else away. Black music, especially the blues, has always been more than just entertainment. It was communication, a prayer, protest, a coded language of joy and pain. We see this happening in the movie. In the scene where they are driving through the Mississippi Delta, we see a chain gang working on the road. Chain gangs were a common form of punishment and labor in the southern United States, especially after the Civil War. Convicts, mainly black former slaves or descendants of slaves, were chained together, often with leg irons to prevent escape. Living and working in conditions that were brutal, with reports of poor sanitation, disease, and mistreatment by overseers. It was often no better than slavery. But during that scene, we saw the chain gang singing the song Rally Can't Hold Me. As they were working, Rally Can't Hold Me. That showed in real time how they use songs to communicate, and even the messaging of the song Rally Can't Hold Me is in regards to their condition. The word rally in this context likely means to gather or constrain. The phrase suggests that whatever forces or influences, i.e. the chains, may be holding them down physically, but their pride and spirit can't be held down, which is why Dr. Slim tells them to keep their head up. Rally can't hold your hands now! You hear me? Hold your hands! The music means so much more than just entertainment in this environment. The earliest forms of blues weren't about performance. It was about communication and expression, about remembering who you are. And to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And Sinners understands that. The film treats music not as a decoration, but as a sacred tradition, and it warns us what happens when that tradition is tampered with. At the heart of Sinners is a dream, to open a juke joint, a place where music flows freely, where community gathers, a place that would be for us, by us, where black folk can be free of their reality if only for a few hours. I think one of the most important things to notice about the film is that the movie went left as soon as they opened the juke joint. You could look at it like this. Once they took their music, their heritage, and they tried to commodify it by selling it at the juke joint is when they invited all the evil into their lives. First person in the movie to hear Sammy sing was Stack. The moment he heard his cousin sing, you could see it on Stack's face. He knew that with Sammy's voice, that their juke joint was going to be successful because they could monetize his voice to really make a name for themselves. Sammy's family believed in him from the very beginning, which is most likely why his cousin Stack gave him his father's guitar. The twins' father used to abuse the twins, Stack more so than Smoke. Their father could be considered evil, and that evil was transferred to the guitar. Notice that in the beginning of the movie, Sammy's dad, who is a preacher and the younger brother of the twins' father, knew who the guitar belonged to, so he knew there was an evil within it, which would explain why he took the guitar and tried to force Sammy to give it up, and tried to get Sammy to stay in the church instead of going with the twins to the juke joint. So when the twins decided to monetize the juke joint and Sammy's voice, they turned a spiritual inheritance into a commercial venture, and that's when everything falls apart. The very moment they try to profit off the music, the balance shifts. What was once spiritual becomes transactional, and that transaction invited evil or the devil in the form of Remick into their lives. The lesson is clear. The blues is not for sale, and if you try to sell it, something darker will come to collect. In Sinners, that darkness arrives in the form of Remick, a vampire drawn not by blood, but by the sound of the music. Remick isn't just any vampire. He's a cultural predator, a figure obsessed with music's power to bend time. But what's genius about Sinners is how it uses music as literal spellcraft. With that being said, let's talk about my favorite musical number in the movie, when Sammy starts to sing the song I Lied to You.
So I lied to you. Yes, I lied to you. I love the blues.
The song was sung by Sammy in the Juke Joint that invoked the spirits of their ancestors. On the surface, the song is about his relationship with his father, but it also feels like a conversation with a darker force, especially the lyrics, "Somebody take me in your arms tonight."
Somebody take me in your arms tonight.
It's almost like he was calling out to those forces. But more than that, the song actually summons people to Sammy. While Sammy performs it, Pearline is drawn to him, almost enchanted. And we know what happens between the two of them once Sammy finished performing it.
You're beautiful. I just want to taste you.
But it's not just Pearline that was summoned, so was Remick. The song acts like a beacon for both the living and the dead, which explains how he was able to bridge with the ancestors. Remick hears this and he knows it. This boy is powerful. He wants that sound for himself, even though he doesn't understand the genre of music or what is powering it, he wants it. When Remick first approaches the Juke Joint, he sings the song Pick Poor Robin Clean.
Pick poor Robin clean. Pick poor Robin clean.
A classic blues song, but when he sings it, something's a little off. It's a little corny. There's almost no soul in there because it isn't his. It's a blues song and he can't relate to that pain, which is why it sounds the way it sounds when Remy sings it. This is appropriation in its purest form. A vampire singing the blues but missing the pain. Remick and the Irish have their own struggles, story, and music. We see this when Mary goes to see if they can trust Remick. We see Remick and his group of vampires singing the song Will Ye Go Lassie Go, an Irish folk song from his own heritage.
Will you go, lassie, go?
And to be honest, the song actually slaps. When we heard it, you can feel the soul. It's different from the blues because now Remick is singing from his roots. He's tapping into his own sorrow, his own longing, his own history, and it works. And we also see as Remick gets more powerful by getting more vampire followers, he leads a performance of the song Road to Dublin. It's an Irish classic that slaps. And the dance that goes along with it, I'd do it if I could. What's interesting about this song is it's a song about traveling to new lands and making bread, aka money. You could look at it like a song about Irish immigrants going to new lands to make a fortune or a better life. When Remick decides to sing it, I think it's because he thinks he's going to get Sammy. With Sammy's voice and power, he will get all the fortune that he needs, which in this case is power. So you see, music in these moments isn't just sound, it's magic, it's spell casting, and Remick knows it. Because in many ways, Remick isn't just a vampire. He's a metaphor for cultural vampirism, similarly to the music industry itself. For over a century, Black artists have created sounds that shaped America. The blues, jazz, gospel, hip hop, soul, all birthed from Black pain, Black joy, and Black genius. And yet, time and time again, we hear one prevailing story about the music industry, and it's the fact that these artists were robbed. Contracts were rigged, royalties stolen, music was watered down, rebranded, and resold by white artists who got the fame and fortune. Remick represents that theft, because when he hears Sammy's power and the fact that he wants it for himself, he doesn't want to nurture it, he wants to own it, to use it to resurrect his own people, his own legacy. And it's interesting that he's a vampire that not only feeds on blood, but he also wants to feed on Black soul. And this ties directly back to real world history. Music lifted more Black people out of poverty than any other industry, but it also left many of them broken, used, and forgotten. Just like the characters in Sinners, they wanted to open the Juke Joint to capitalize off of Black music, but pretty much everyone outside of Sammy that night got broken, were left for dead, and forgotten through history. And that mirrors pretty much the exact same thing that happens when you allow cultural vampirism to take away what makes you unique and you try to commoditize and make a profit off of what's truly yours in a space that doesn't allow you. But the music in Sinners also offers hope. In Sammy's big musical number, we see something extraordinary. The music doesn't just awaken ancient African spirits. It calls forth futuristic DJs, choreographers, and even the Chinese ancestors of the Chows. The film visually shows that music can transcend race, lineage, and time. I think Sammy's music was never meant to be commercial. It was meant to heal, to remember, and to carry his people forward. And you can see that in the first and final song that Sammy sings in the movie, the song Traveling. The first time he sings it is to Stack, and it leaves Stack full of hope. And when Sammy sings it again at the end of the movie to the vampire version of Stack, you could see instead of being filled with hope, Stack is filled with heartbreak, showing that music, even the same song, can evoke various emotions out of you depending on where you stand in relation to that music. Music in Sinners wasn't just a backdrop. It was arguably the most important part of the entire movie. It was the soul of a people fighting to hold on to themselves. So next time you watch the movie Sinners, don't just listen to the music, feel it, because that's where the truth is. But guys, that's just my thoughts on Sinners, the music, the soundtrack. Everything about this movie is amazing, and the more I watch it, the more I deep dive into it, I notice different things. So if you guys have different opinions, let me know in the comment section below. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and let me know, do you want me to make more Sinners videos? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll probably make some more because there's so much more to talk about. But guys, that's it for this video. Until next time, peace.